There was an idea to bring together a group of remarkable people.
To see if we could become something more.
So when they needed us, we could fight the battles
that they never could.
In 2018, the Marvel Cinematic Universe turns 10 years old. Avengers Infinity War draws near. And in an attempt to make sense out of all that's happened up to this point, we find two intrepid individuals. Peter Melnick, local newspaper production associate and mild-mannered comic book and podcast enthusiast. And Eddie Wilson, morning radio announcer in Sullivan County, upstate New York, with an inordinate amount of catching up to do in his own comic book universe. Alone, they stand apart. Duh. But together, they are the Marvelists.
Spider-Man does whatever a spider can. Spins a web any size, catches thieves just like flies. Look out, here comes the Spider-Man. Is he strong? Listen, bud, he's got radioactive blood. Can he swing from a thread? Take a look overhead. Hey there goes the Spider-Man. In the chill of night, at the scene of a crime, like a streak of light, he arrives just in time. Spider-Man, Spider-Man, friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, welcome fame, he's ignored, action is his reward to him. Life is a great big hang-up, wherever there's a hang-up, you'll find a Spider-Man.
While attending a demonstration in radiology, student Peter Parker was bitten by a spider which had accidentally been exposed to radioactive rays. Through a miracle of science, Peter soon found that he had gained the arachnid's powers and had, in effect, become a human spider. Stan Lee presents The Amazing Spider-Man.
Welcome, everyone, to the Marvelists, the Marvel podcast. We're going to go with that, I guess. Marvel podcast. The album art's still going to say MCU podcast, but we'll go from there. Whatever. I'm Peter Melnick.
I'm Eddie Wilson.
And before we introduce our returning guest, we got a two-timer for the first time. We got a two-timer.
Woof.
But before we get into that, let's get into how people can get a hold of us on our social medias. Go on Facebook at facebook.com/The
Marvelists.
Go on the Twitter at
The Marvelists.
Follow myself on there at Peter Melnick. Yourself
at eWilson959.
You can also follow us on Instagram at
The Marvelists.
And you can also be able to listen to the show on iTunes. Rate, review, and subscribe. 5-star if you are ever so inclined. Let people know that you're listening as well. Share it. And let people know, again, you're listening. We're also available on the Stitcher Radio app, available for all iOS and Android devices. Also, if you want to drop us a line, send us an email into our email bag, themarvelous@gmail.com. We will be accepting questions, comments, strongly worded letters. You name it, we'll answer it, whatever we can. So, before we get into our topic matter at hand, we should do something first. Introduce our guest today. Eddie, you do the honors.
That would be our returning guest, Charlie Perala. Welcome back.
I go by Charles, actually, on these kind of things.
He's so formal. I try.
Well, you know what? It's a thing. But, hello, I'm back, and we are doing Spider-Man Homecoming. So I'm having a homecoming on the Marvelous show, so we're doing Spider-Man Homecoming.
We knew parade, a float, all that stuff.
Ticker tape. No. I don't know who's going to clean all this up.
Firing the previous one twice, and then finally putting me in this stage.
I'm finally a prom king.
Yeah.
Finally happened.
Better than the Pumpkin King, I suppose.
It is. But yeah, so since we are on our road to Infinity War, of course, Infinity War stuff is continuing to come along. They've actually been hiding tickets for the movie behind movie posters, getting people hyped for this. Because honestly, this is the hot ticket, like the next couple of weeks. You know,
Well, who can access a movie ticket behind a movie poster? Isn't that encased in some,
I mean, I think they have like little movie posters in like the urban areas. They have like the ones that are like painted and everything up.
Okay, sure.
And for example, also the people behind Big Apple Comic-Con, who we were very fortunate enough to have give us the opportunity to do some interviews at their show as press. We want to say, first off, once again, thank you to Mike Carbonaro for giving us that opportunity. We actually got some stuff that is going to be used for our Infinity War special. And by the way, Eddie, man, could you believe Infinity War that we just saw, yesterday or the day before?
It's still reeling from it. I can't say anything about it right now.
I can't get over it. I mean, Charlie, what did you think of it? Or Charles, what did you think of it?
Man, I just go back and forth with the name. Well,
that's what happens.
no spoilers. That's all I'm going to say.
Exactly.
But someone's dead.
Man,
I think it's Glenn.
I think it's that cat.
Maybe it's Darth Vader. I don't know. Or, I really wish it was Flam's Chopson, but I don't think we got that fortunate.
No. But yeah, so this week, we're obviously recording this before we all saw Infinity War, but this is our little bit of a... As you hear this, either Captain America and or Iron Man are still alive and or dead.
We're just joshing with you.
So we don't know what's going
Hopefully
on.
Flash Thompson's dead.
Hopefully.
I'll discuss that later.
Place your bets.
But yeah, I think it's been the coolest thing seeing this happen, and when you all hear this episode, we'll have known what happened, And it's cool. It's really cool that Marvel has built up something like this, the most ambitious kind of crossover in film history in, decades. And to see this explode to the extent that it has, it's cool.
Yeah, you'll probably know more about it than we will as of this recording.
Well, yeah.
It's a given.
I mean, literally, Robert Downey Jr., when he was filming the movie, did not know the entire script. So when you're having the franchise player not know what's going on in your movie, you're really doing a good job keeping it secret.
Yeah.
Like, I know even with the screen,
So maybe he'll find out he's dead with the rest of us.
Probably. There's just one scene. Oh, crap, Tony's dead. He is? Where's the body? We don't need to see that, guys. Don't need to see that.
Yeah.
But...
Oh, man.
Guys, let's get into the topic matter at hand, because we can't really riff anymore on a movie that we haven't seen.
No.
So...
That wouldn't be right.
If you haven't seen this movie, message us on Facebook. Let us know how many times you've seen the movie or plan to see the movie. I'm probably realistically going to see it twice that weekend. So...
For starters.
4 starters.
And 4 stars, yeah, okay. And then for someone like me...
Hey, we don't know how many stars we're giving it yet.
No, we do not.
All I know, on the other hand, is that my ranking is actually a lot different than it was last time, because that number 1 spot got changed. I don't know if I told you that.
No, but I wouldn't be surprised. No.
Yeah, I know. I mean, the resurgence for you with Thor: The Dark World was really amazing.
I was, guys, yeah, I got to tell you.
Underwhelmed, yes.
I got to tell you, that nothing villain and just that nothing script, man, great times had by all. But...
Ether who?
Exactly.
Ether Allen. It's a furniture company.
Ether Allen Poe.
Oh.
Ethereum.
Nevermore.
So, guys... This is the third go at bat of the Spider-Man character on the big screen. First off, we had Tomei Maguire. Then we ended up getting... Uncle
My
Ben.
back!
Uncle Ben. Wow, what?
My back!
We had Andrew Garfield.
Yeah.
And now we have the third one, Tom Holland.
Woo.
And I gotta tell you...
Hi, everybody.
It was, yeah. Hey, everybody. Because if you notice when he did that in his opening scene during that video, you hear the, hey, everybody. Just trying to be the coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
That is... It just, once again, shows just how much of a gigantic geek Peter Parker is, and I love him for it. But, before we really get into talking about scenes like that, let's talk about the overall background for this movie. That in 2015, I want to say...
It was.
it was revealed that Spider-Man would be coming to the MCU with his own movie, and it would be Spider-Man Homecoming. And no one... a lot of people actually were just complaining about it at the time, like, come on, guys, we're really getting another origin story. We're going to be getting another this, another that. We didn't get an origin story, really.
No,
we got a in-progress story, and I liked that. And...
No, I mean, we did not get to see Thomas and Martha Wayne die again.
I was happy.
Well, I mean, I remember when I saw Batman versus Superman for the first time. I was with a friend of mine, and it was opening night. And when they showed Jeffrey Dean Morgan and the other girl from Walking Dead die as Thomas and Martha, I just remember my friend shouted, "Uncle Ben, no!"
Wow.
And we got some laughs in the theater. It's just kind of amazing to look at it, because I watched the first Spider-Man movie with Tobey Maguire.
You watched it together with him? How was he? How's he doing?
Oh, no, not with him. Not with him. I mean, well, with him, he's still wondering when he's going to come back, because he's waiting for that paycheck.
Does he do movies anymore?
I think he'd like to do movies more.
Yeah, he kind of disappeared like Brendan Fraser did for a while.
Well, Brendan Fraser, I think, was other issues. I think with Tobey Maguire, I don't know, it's a bunch of mixed stories. But the funniest thing is when they announced he was returning to the MCU, this is what I thought was going to happen. I thought they were going to announce that Tobey Maguire was going to come back, and I thought they were going to reveal Miles Morales would be kind of the new Spider-Man for the films, and then Tobey Maguire would take the Avengers movies. And I thought it was going to be this great scene where he unmasked himself from the public, and maybe he's been gone for a while, had a Dark Knight Returns type thing. And I think it would have just made a tremendous amount of money. And, I would have loved to see that, but, this is what we got, and I'm not unhappy with it by any means.
Yeah, you're going to hear a lot of this from me throughout this review, but it very much reminded me of a John Hughes film, to the point where they included a scene from Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Well, a lot of comedic elements in here, and just showing Peter's age.
My age, I'm 29.
And somewhere, Peter of
you
Parker
were the
fame.
same age as the previous Spider-Man. I think actually younger.
Probably.
But yeah, as you are wont to say, showing his kind of immaturity and him, growing into the character, as well as getting the handle on his $1 million suit. That's just a technological marvel.
No pun intended.
Yes, it is.
Hey, that was a good pun.
That's exactly right.
Now, I feel one of the things is, going back to my comparison with the John Hughes stuff, we got that John Hughes-esque movie with the soundtrack, the usage of 1980s pop music in the prom scene. And then, we have... Or was it the prom? Or was it Homecoming? It's Homecoming. The movie's called Homecoming. Of course it's going to be the Homecoming dance.
Very good.
That was a terrible realization for me. I'm like...
Works for me.
It does. But yeah, I think the idea that it's got that innocence of the kid doesn't know what it's like to be a superhero. He's trying to learn,
He wants an assignment, a mission. He wants to go out and do good.
Yeah. And these moments in the beginning of his superhero career, they're the awkward moments leading up to what he will eventually be. And we get a lot of elements of what the Spider-Man character is through his actions. Like, for example, we're going to bury the lead a little bit here, but towards the end of the film, like the final few minutes, we see him save the Vulture. And we get that incorporation of, what was it? No one dies. It's that.
And we also finally get to see a Marvel movie where the villain lives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But looking at this and comparing it to John Hughes, I mean, it's kind of like the perfect comparison, the perfect lighthearted tone here. But one other thing that I like is Eddie brought up he's looking for a mission. And I like that because New York is actually a very nice place in this film. It's very clear there's not a lot of crime here. There's not people dying every hour. Where in Amazing Spider-Man and the Raimi Spider-Man trilogy, New York looks like Iraq. And I've never really seen anyone get mugged. I've never been mugged. I've never been threatened in New York.
Knock on wood.
Knock on wood here. Cardboard, that counts. And
it's made from a tree.
It's made from a tree. And, something where I felt that it was more realistic because of that. And it makes sense. He's looking for something more exciting than chasing down like a guy who happens to be the pizza man. Something like that.
Which, by the way, guys, I got to go to Joe's Pizza in New York City over in Manhattan, the actual pizzeria that was seen in Spider-Man 2.
Oh, very cool.
And they even have like little signs that says, as seen in Spider-Man. And because you got to respect the hyphen. And it was just neat to be in there. And the pizza was really good.
That was the answer I was looking for.
That was the end of that anecdote.
That was the question that we all had right there.
It was one of the best pizzas I've had in New York City. So,
whoa.
Yeah. That and Two Bros Pizza. I like Two Bros. What we're getting in this movie is an interpretation of the Peter Parker character that we got bits and pieces of in the Sam Raimi version, not at all in the Andrew Garfield version, but a awkward geekiness to him that, he's got the quote-unquote training wheels on him, not just the training wheels protocol, but actual training wheels for his character.
Well, the training wheels, I think, encompass the origin story being told. It's like people have seen 5 Spider-Man movies already. They get it. They know how it started. So let's pick it up from there. I have a little issue with the fact that his geekiness or his immaturity in some instances coming through too much to counteract the fact that he's a smart kid. He's a brilliant kid. And whereas in the comics, he comes up with everything himself, not the case here. So if there's a major twist, 180-degree thing to it, it's coming under Tony Stark's tutelage and being given a very expensive suit with all the high tech.
But the thing is this, you can be as smart as you can be as a kid, but there's still the awkwardness of being a teenager. And this version of Peter Parker exudes that perfectly. He's a goof, but you have to balance, that out. And I feel like this is the best interpretation of that awkwardness of being a teenager.
Well, one thing is about how I think they got this right was that, you see, when it came to the first Spider-Man film, you kind of see that, like, okay, Peter is, like, kind of an awkward kid, you get it. But then, like, he's surrounded by a bunch of high school students, which first off, they all look like they're 30 years old. They all look like they smoke. They all look like they drink regularly. Many of the girls do not have the physical features of teenagers by any means there. And it just doesn't feel natural because they feel very adjusted. With this, all of the other characters, Melissa, Ned, Flash, I hate him. No, but they all are very awkward in their own rights as well. Like, there's no, like, he is not the lame kid. It's just they're all kind of awkward. And what really I think that makes that work is how awkward he is around Tony Stark. Where, like, I think in the beginning you just see that...
It's the idolization.
You just see that video of, like, him talking on the camera to Peter. He's just, like, smiling, like, politely, like, holding in enthusiasm. And I thought that was great. And then just to comment, though, on the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man, he was kind of, like, awkward in a different way, where he wasn't, like, a geek. He wasn't awkward. It was more just that...
He was cool.
He was like that guy who just doesn't really like anybody. That was, I think, his role.
I can see that.
Yeah.
Eddie?
Possibly. I can go with that, But just with this Spider-Man, this Peter Parker, if I'm being critical on it, in a sense, the geekiness approaches a bit of excess. To maybe not enough street smart stuff, but yeah, he's in there. He does. In fact, I was just trying to think where a good or maybe a little bit similar balance between being his age and being a hero comes through. And I actually thought of the 1967 cartoon where when he's in that costume, his vocal range is deeper, it's more authoritative, even when he's joking around, which is a classic Peter Parker Spider-Man thing. And that comes through, I think, in all versions from 67 to the movies.
I feel like the
and this one as well.
The humor, though, in the 2000s, the Raimi version, and not the Andrew Garfield one, but the Raimi version of the character was such a fail in terms of, his humor. Like, you're out, Gobby. Out of your mind. That it stunk on ice. Now,
one complaint I'm going to have here is because I'm looking at this now again, and you bring up Goblin, and this is something I've just noticed. And this is just something they had to do, I guess, because this is their third go at Spider-Man. But, they don't have the traditional MJ. They do not have Gwen Stacy in there. They have a very young Betty Brant.
Well, they're looking for the right Gwen with the right neck, Strong neck.
Man.
Oh, snap. Sorry.
They don't have Norman Osborn. They don't have Harry Osborn yet. They like, which in the comics...
No Jonah.
Yeah, no. Well, we can wait for that. But maybe they'll bring back the old Jonah. I'd prefer that because I don't think they'll get another Justice League movie from him.
Oh, that's harsh.
That's that's that character. That's right. Mm-hmm.
But
J.K. Simmons.
But when it comes to
Just kidding, Simmons, indeed.
You're fired.
Yeah, but when it comes to this film, though, I kind of wish they could have just brought in, like, they could have made Harry Osborn a student, but instead we get Ned as the best friend, and
who is essentially playing the role of Genki from the Ultimate Spider-Man comics with Miles Morales.
Well, I mean, he's playing like, I don't, he has many hats, because the film's right here.
Well, he's wearing a cowboy hat. We're talking about Ned, right?
No, yeah, but then he has like then he has like the tourist hat that he's wearing in Washington D.C. that we just saw, and like he's just like a very memorable character. This is a totally new thing, and I mean, like a lot of people were like, and I was like looking at the shows, like they have to give him like the sidekick now, but I really like it because also it doesn't feel like he's so secret on the secret identity thing.
It's if you were that age and you had that ability, you would be like, I gotta keep this a secret. But I'm gonna tell my best friend. He's gotta know.
Yeah, there's an outlet for it, and that suits it well, I think, with Ned. And I'm assuming it's Ned Leeds.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, so we have that transfer over from the original name.
When he turns into the Hobgoblin.
Well, that's, a lot later, and, a different physical makeup of the character and so on, just like you have Betty Brant, who's a student in that sense, so you're dropping that name in there. MJ comes along later, because that's her nickname for Michelle, actually is revealed to be her first name.
And that's where I'm going to argue. Like, some people were like, how dare they do this? How dare they make her MJ? I'm like, we don't know what's going to happen next.
That's true, we don't.
But my theory on what's going to happen with MJ is Mary Jane Watson is going to show up.
Okay.
And it's going to be a battle of two MJs trying to get Peter's affection. I was the original MJ. I was here first.
And this is where I'm going to start touching on my discontent for Flash. Because a lot of people, like my friend Rosh, was like, well, do you just dislike the changes because they're a different race? And I'm like, Zatina playing this Melissa character, if they wanted to make her MJ, I'd be a little bit pissed off if they didn't give her red hair because that's signature to the character. But for Flash, it doesn't have to do with the actor being Indian. I guess Flash Thompson I've not really heard as the most Indian name, but,
exactly.
They could do it. They could do it. They could have made him any race they wanted. But the problem is Flash is supposed to be like the football quarterback. He's supposed to be muscular. He's supposed to be kind of tall. He's supposed to be like this bully of Peter who actually loves and idolizes Spider-Man.
And a chick magnet.
Yeah, and this character was in every single way a 180 of what I think a really great character was. And in Amazing Spider-Man, he was I think one of my favorite characters there because it was perfect. They should have just went for a redo of that. And here's the thing: the character who they have of Flash, if they just gave that character a different name and they let Flash be Flash and they let this kid be something else, I think that would have had a great impact. It could have been something they could have brought to the comics later on. They could have brought to cartoons later on. But instead they just redo a character and make him... And he's not even cool. If there was any kid like running around like that, being like, I'm DJ Flash...
Hey, he's got his dad's car. He's got a way with words, and perhaps he's doing well in the social scene also with the girls. So he is cool in a sense.
But what would they see in a guy like that? It's like, oh, I'm dating DJ Flash, and it's like
he's got money. He's got his dad's car.
But that's not even Flash. Flash is supposed to be like
not the Flash, not the Flash that we knew, not that Flash either, right?
His dad's kind of like
not the Fleur either.
His dad's kind of like a cop who might have like a drinking issue, and this is just kind of like, I mean, I thought it was just like an insult to the character. The other thing is for Betty Brant, though. Did anyone else think there was Gwen Stacy when like they saw it in like the trailer and things like that?
I might have if I didn't see her name. Yeah. But I immediately went to, okay, that's Betty Brant. Oh, I recognize the name. Okay, he's a student doing the closed circuit TV in the school. Oh, okay, fine.
I mean, she'll probably be the love interest in the next movie if I had to guess, maybe.
I don't know. That.
Or maybe it's just a throwback. Or maybe she's the one that's going to bring in the next Jonah.
Huh.
Maybe she'll be.
Gets an internship at the Bugle.
You know what? You could bring Betty Brant in as a love interest because it hasn't been done. Possibly,
I was
fine.
surprised they never did.
But if you're going to bring Gwen and MJ, the Mary Jane Watson character, in, don't get Peter's love life confused and all jumbled up and stuff. Let's not, create too many threads here.
I mean, the socially awkward kid in high school also happens to be a player with 4 side girls or whatever, or 5.
I have to interrupt you real quick. You really said. You could have said webs, Eddie.
I know that. That's why I was seeing where that was going to go. More threads, make a web. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, damn right.
He has love webs, not love triangles.
That's the thing about this version of Spider-Man, and I would say we actually asked questions on our Facebook page, and Tom Bennis of Odd Shaped Panel asked, "Do you think the MCU can hold on to Holland long enough to go into Parker Industries? I think he could be the new Tony Stark, connecting the movies in a web, if you will."
If you will, indeed.
And going with the Tom Holland character, I think when we were just talking a little bit about his awkwardness with Tony, where you can see the plain idolation. I feel that they will hold on to him long enough, and he will develop into.
Is that a word?
Character.
I'm sorry. Is that a word? Idolation, or is that idolization?
There's idolation.
I'm just gonna make the point. Is do you think they can hold on to Tom Holland long enough? I'm like, he's playing Spider-Man. He's in the Avengers. Beforehand, he was like some kid training to be a dancer. I have a gut feeling they'll be able to keep him in the MCU. Especially looking at how Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield. I just see them on milk cartons now. I don't really see them in movies anymore.
Well, I'm sorry, Peter, that was just a little grammar point. But to Tom's question now, I hadn't even thought that far ahead of Parker Industries and then that immediately reminded me of the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man, where I would have liked to have seen a continuation of the storyline of Peter's parents and keep that going. So maybe I'm thinking that version of Spider-Man stopped short and could have kept on that track.
Well, no, when it comes to Parker Industries, what kind of technology is he going to work on? That's the big question here.
The phone.
Okay.
He had the Parker phone.
I mean, he could do web stuff.
Come on.
That's a given. That should be before he walks into the operation.
Boo.
Well, okay, so the other thing is, let's go to the character, I think, of Melissa, if I can.
All right, hold it, Charles. We got to back up. That's 3 times and you're out. Michelle.
Oh, I keep calling her Melissa.
Yes, you did.
Whoa, my Melissa.
Look, all I know...
Cue the Allman Brothers.
I was going with
Look,
Guns
all
N' Roses.
I know is she has an M in the front of her name, Michelle.
Yeah.
Okay, so Michelle...
Not Melissa.
Now, I mean, this was another thing where, this type of character was another... Because this is what they should have done for the Flash character, because it's something technically original. I understand the throwback there. But what was, the real point of the character? Was it to create a future love interest, or...
Yeah.
Or, I mean, was it because she's just a popular actress among, teenagers right now, and they just kind of want to throw her in?
It's a combination of both, probably, in all honesty, because she was a big Disney Channel star, and now she's a big deal, with movies like The Greatest Showman and other things that I haven't seen.
Okay.
It's like, yep, here's a check for $250,000. You're going to be in some scenes. Because I thought her character was going to have a bigger role. I actually thought she was going to find out Peter's identity towards the end of the film.
Sure, it leaned toward that for sure.
I thought the end scene with Aunt May, the new hot Aunt May, I thought that was going to be Michelle walking in instead. Because I knew something like that was going to happen, and I just kind of felt okay, maybe there's a female who's going to also know, and how is that going to be a relationship change? Because I knew they would never do that with Gwen Stacy or MJ, so I was hey, maybe they're going to do that here.
MJ they would, because there have been comics where she's yeah, I know you're Spider.
And they did, right, in the movies too.
That's one of my all-time favorite
not
comics.
Right away.
Yeah.
Not right away.
No, that's true, not right away.
But what, while we're back going over to Aunt May, the decision to cast Marisa Tomei as Aunt May is still one of the most intriguing casting decisions. And we were talking off mic again. You can listen to our stance about, Eddie and I's stance during the Civil War episode. But yourself, Charlie, what did you think of the casting of Marisa Tomei in the role of Aunt May?
Well, which 14-year-old kid has an aunt who's a...
Geriatric?
Well, I was going to be more polite and say Social Security member. But, like, she's in her... Like, well, here's the thing. In the first Spider-Man trilogy, she easily had... The actress who they cast easily had to be over 70 years.
Rosemary Harris?
Yeah. The second one, I would guess over 55, over 60. It was definitely more believable.
Sally Field?
Yeah, Sally Field. Sally Field, I think, is 65, right?
I'd say she's right about there, yep.
Yeah, so still a little bit hard to believe. This was definitely more of like... I mean, she reminded me of my aunts.
Yeah,
so,
same here.
Yeah, and I think most people she did as well. For Marisa Tomei as the actress, I also liked the kind of... They did the Italian thing. It was kind of a good throwback to Queens to some extent. Made it feel more realistic. I don't know, like, I mean, for the character herself, I thought it was a good supporting role. She had more personality than the other ones. It's less of, like, chronic depression. Also, she doesn't seem to be going through chronic depression like the other ones are, where every scene you just want to cry. Like, this, it's actually... with this one, it's actually, like, I mean, I think it's, like, they basically, like, start off her character by, like, saying... I don't know how I feel about that Mr. Stark guy, and then or where like she's flirting with Tony Stark in Civil War, but then they end it like the last line we get to see of her so far is what the
and
PG-13,
and they could have used it because when you have a PG-13 movie, you're allowed one F-bomb, and they didn't use that.
Yeah, they just used the F part, I think.
Yeah, they just go what
and
the
that was
and
that was boom, and that was just slamming at the end there,
and it went into that amazing credit sequence.
Oh yes, the style of the way they did that was really, really cool.
It was very hip and very New York City.
But by the way, what do you guys think her reaction is going to be like 5 minutes later? Like, because
I'm going to a costume party, Aunt May. It's gonna be that. I guarantee.
No, I would. There was a show that I don't think many people in the audience liked, and I'm going to be pretty damn positive you guys never watched. It was Gilmore Girls.
Never saw it.
No.
Just me being your typical heterosexual man. I've seen every episode probably twice. And there's this one famous scene where the family is going through like some issues where like they have to just resolve a ton of issues that they've had, like that were entire like 30 episodes building up. And it just goes into like a 5-minute yell track. They film it in a different way than the other thing. And it's just like them going back and forth over like 2 hours. And I think everyone's had this kind of thing where it's like just yelling for a couple hours. I kind of hope they do something like that where they condense that into 3 minutes. Where it's
That'd
like
be cool.
It's him denying it, then yelling, and then go back and forth. There's an interruption like of them eating Chinese food, them yelling again, and then they walk out like, I'm okay with this.
In all honesty, that's the thing. We don't really see, like, in the comics, Aunt May, oh, I hope you're not around that terrible Spider-Man boy.
Just to that point, and then let's move on from there to the Aunt May point. I'm going to start by saying I am the oldest in this podcast. I have more quote-unquote exposure to Spider-Man, or at least started that way. So
don't be exposed to Spider-Man.
It was canon, I'll say, that Aunt May is a senior citizen. So to some people, it's 180 degrees difference to bring it down to the Marisa Tomei age bracket. It was just what you had from the very beginning, from the foundation of Spider-Man. Uncle Ben, Aunt May were old. That's it. And it didn't. I don't know if it broke down his parents age-wise versus the aunt and uncle that were taking care of him. I don't think you didn't get that, at least for quite a while. And this is just what you accepted. Now, just like as some of us are accepting a very younger and more attractive-looking May character. So
I just think that's the example of Stan Lee not knowing. Like, he'll write something, and he won't entirely get it.
Well,
you know what I mean?
I think it was more of the original Aunt May and Uncle Ben. The reason why they were older was almost to get more sympathy for Peter. It's like, he's like living with like his aunt who's like just an old lady, and I don't think they ever really thought it through. They never like said, oh yeah, he's only like 15, 16. Why does he have like an aunt who's 70? But oh well.
Stan Lee used to think that teenagers yelled "Yabo," and so that was a rallying cry in the X-Men.
That's a new one.
Yeah,
really,
Yabo.
I think there's one character we've not touched on, shockingly.
Well, we were saving the best for last, in my opinion.
No, Batman.
Adam
Birdman,
West is not in this.
Birdman.
There we go. Harvey Birdman, attorney at law. No. Yeah, Michael Keaton. And when I heard about this casting decision, holy crap, was I excited. Because this was coming off of the recent buzz around him for his portrayal in Birdman.
Bird, that's good.
And
he got typecast.
He winged creatures. And, we went from Batman to Birdman to now the Vulture. And
he's found his niche, or his nest.
Well, when it comes to Michael Keaton, I was not a fan of him as Batman, actually. I love Batman. I was not really a giant fan of those films, though.
I've always loved the Keaton run.
Oh.
That's just me.
Oh, I'm sorry, but...
It's fine. How dare you?
Okay, but the thing is, watching him in Birdman and the movie The Founder about Ray Kroc, I realized how much I love this guy as an actor, especially him older. He has, like, a crispness to him. And he easily became my favorite, like, Avengers villain by far. And for him in this role... it's kind of weird because I've noticed, like, every villain casting I've ever had, like, my ideal villain casting for Spider-Man has always been Edward Norton. Like, I could always see Edward Norton as Eddie Brock. I could see him as Carnage. I could see him as Norman Osborn. I could see him as, like, like this. So I was like, maybe they'll cast Edward Norton for this role, but they didn't, and I was very happy. I will say this, though, I had kind of like a dream casting for, like, this Spider-Man universe, and I still do. The big cast I'd have is, like, Norman Osborn. Did any of you guys watch the show House?
Yeah, Hugh Laurie.
Hugh Laurie, I think, should be Norman Osborn. That's my dream casting.
I've always gone with the cliche one of Hugh Laurie. Hugh Laurie should play J. Jonah Jameson.
That's also on the table. That's also there.
Because he's just got that, persona, and I feel that would be perfect. Just Parker!
There you go. Well, I mean, here's the thing. Like I said, it looks like, J.K. Simmons might be out of work from Justice League, so...
You never know.
He can get his job back in Spider-Man and no one will complain.
Because no one else can play that character other than J.K. Simmons.
He invented the character, essentially.
That's why, like, when it ever does happen, Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, sorry, I can't see anybody else playing the role.
Right.
Well, but the only thing is, it's like, this is the one thing, though, about this Spider-Man. Why would he need to work as a photographer at this point? It doesn't look like his family is in that bad of financial straits. And
things can change.
Is he really in a situation? He's like, hey, Tony, can I borrow $5,000? Like, it's in my, like, look through my couch cushions. It's there. I mean, that's kind of a thing here. Unless, oh, wait, we forgot. I mean, by the time people are looking at this, Tony might be dead, so.
R.I.P.D. Tony Stank.
Yeah.
With the incorporation of Michael Keaton as the Vulture, a character who I've absolutely despised over the years, because the Vulture to me is a do-nothing character. He's just boring. What are his powers? He's old and flies. Who gives a shit?
Yeah, he's old too. Look at that. Mm-hmm.
But the thing is this. They took Michael Keaton, and the way they wrote this character, they made him little elements like, I'm the everyman. You think that Tony Stark, you think those, Captain America and all them, they care about us? They don't give a damn about us.
Yeah, he's a good everyman and working for the company, running the company that was hauling away after Avengers Tower.
The Battle of New York.
Yep.
And the thing is this, though. There are elements with Michael Keaton's character of Adrian Toomes. You kind of feel for him in some ways.
You do. Absolutely.
And then you see that 2 movies from now when we get Black Panther, and we get that with Killmonger. A villain where you're just like, they're an asshole, but I kind of understand where they're coming from.
Yeah.
Well, Michael Keaton's character really does remind you of that girl you took to prom's dad. Like,
thought you were saying Michael Keaton's going to remind you of this girl. I'm like,
I was like, whoa,
where are we going here?
No, but like his character is like, I think like there's always that girl you date where she has a dad like Michael Keaton in this film, where he's like
the gruff,
where he's more of like, he's like, well, yeah, I'd love to do it, but unlike you, I've got to work a job. And it's like, well, I'm sorry, man. And and you say something to him, or maybe I say something to him, like, yeah, what's up, dude? And he's like, this douchebag doing my daughter.
Well, there's 2 things then about Michael Keaton's character. First, like we just said, and now the second and the more impactful twist is that, yes, he's Liz's stepfather.
Now, let me ask you both. When you guys saw this, did you see it in the theaters?
Yes, I did. And also, I just want to make one side note, because the TV is on with the movie playing.
Oh, your buddy's showing up.
There's Flash, yes.
No, but I was going to point out, Ned Ned brought a cowboy hat to prom. I just noticed that now. I'm like,
It's a good hat. Good look for him. But yeah, so when you guys saw this movie in the theaters initially, I have to ask you both, when you saw it initially, what was the reaction in the audience when it was the big reveal that Adrian was Liz's dad?
No way.
I heard a holy ish.
Yeah, that too.
So, I saw it 3 days later, so it was not that big of a reaction. I was a little bit confused. I'm like, wait, why is he driving him in the car? Like, I was like, wait, what happened here? But overall, it was like
You shouldn't have had to go to the bathroom at that point.
Well, yeah.
I was like, overall, it's good. And I also just want to point them out because I'm still looking at the prom scene. The kid Flash is dating a girl who's like a head taller.
Kid Flash, wait a minute.
No, not DC. No, but like the Flash Thompson guy, the girl's a head taller than him.
Stop it with DC, Eddie.
I just want to beat this kid up. Can I beat him up, please?
You can if you want.
Can I be the new Flash?
I'll give you the permission slip.
No, I'm like, I beat him up. It's like I come into the movie. I'm the new Flash now. It's like I'm gonna like do this. Is like I just like push Peter in the head. I'm like, yeah, Parker, get the F out.
That's the one F-bomb they're allowed to use.
Well, and here's the look. The first Flash Thompson from the first Spider-Man, who I don't even think I think they name him one time, not even like full on. And he's like, first off, he's like racist against Italians. I think he's like Flash Thompson the Guido, and I'm like, and he's like, even that was better than this, but I don't know. I don't know why. I've developed a real love for that character over the years. Like when I started reading the Spider-Man comics, I'm like, wow, I really feel for this guy. This is awesome. And the show Spectacular Spider-Man, which I wanted to touch on, they do him great too.
And speaking of things that are great, by the way, people, have you ever considered going on Stitcher.com/premium and using the promo code Marvelists? Eddie, have you?
It's great. Like you said, great things.
We've been enjoying it. We've been listening to Wolverine, The Long Night. And I got to tell you, we are about, I think, 8 episodes in right now of the story.
Do we know how long that long night will last?
I believe it's a 12-episode series.
I may have asked, but I just forgot.
But yeah, when you go on Stitcher.com/premium and use that promo code
Marvelists,
you'll be able to help support the show. And on top of that, guess what? You get to listen to Wolverine, The Long Night. You get to listen to other shows, commercial-free, and all that other good stuff. So, when you sign up, you can cancel at any time. But if you don't want to cancel and you want to keep it going, you will enjoy Stitcher Premium for $4.99 a month.
After your first month.
Hell of a bargain, right?
Yes, sir.
So go to Stitcher.com/premium and use that promo code at checkout.
Marvelous.
So now back to the movie, guys. What do you think is the overall impact with the character of Tony Stark on Spider-Man? Because this was, again, another big deal that, oh, crap, Robert Downey Jr. is doing this again? He's going to be Iron Man in one more movie?
Yes, exactly. And as teacher for this, he's definitely a presence, and in different aspects, meaning he's there but he's not there. He's there but he's not. Flashback to Slattery, yes. But he's there by sending one of his suits, and then he is actually there and giving Happy a decent amount of screen time in this movie, as well. But not taking him seriously enough in some respects, both Tony Stark and Happy Hogan.
And we were asked, what are some of our favorite favorite funny moments in the movie, and that was asked by Darren Heidman on our Facebook page. I would say quite a few of the moments with Happy Hogan, if we're being honest. Like, just Favreau's, interaction with Tom Holland was perfect.
It was very good, yes. I don't know how comedic it was. I think there were other areas. I'm going to scan through what I took down because I thought there were other interactions like that. I mean, it's just a series, the barrage of questions that Ned in Peter's room said to Peter, like, do you lay eggs? Can you spit venom? Can you summon an army of spiders? And that's where they're in a class where the teacher is speaking, and you hear, if you're paying attention, the teacher is saying Sokovia Accords.
Yeah.
Okay, and then how far can you shoot your webs?
So you would go with those, like the...
I think that was more of a comedic interaction than the Happy Hogan stuff, because Happy was irritated, annoyed, couldn't be bothered. Go away from me, kid, you bother me.
That was what was funny about it to me.
Maybe even trying to belittle Peter and saying, you're insignificant, go someplace else.
This was just something that we touched on a little bit before we started filming, but that class with the math problem, like we were just talking about, it was like, I went to high school, I never had a math problem. Like what is with that? Like you like every movie, and that was really a John Hughes type thing. It's like, yeah, it's like they're like doing this math problem,
Complicated math problems.
Yeah, it's like when did you ever get this in school? And like I was in like in 7th grade, like, oh my god, high school's gonna be killer. Looking at it like this doesn't exist.
I would love to see a movie where they utilize that kind of scene, and you just go, oh, look at that big complicated math problem. Yeah, why is it on the board? We're in English class.
Right, exactly. Now, I don't know if these are other comedic things or they're just good zinger one-liners like Tony saying, can't you just be a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man? And because he's over, I forgot where he was.
India?
Brazil, maybe, or I forgot where. Maybe it was India. Yes, okay. A very much warmer climate. Or thank God this place has Wi-Fi, otherwise you'd be toast.
I feel like also personally, my favorite humorous scene in the whole movie would have to be the scenes, involving Hannibal Buress and just, him wheeling out that television and, he's the gym teacher and playing Captain America PSAs.
Sure.
And I just love the physical comedy, the visual comedy of your teacher right here, and Captain America points to his right, and Hannibal Buress is on the left side of the TV, and he just politely waves and goes, hi.
Yeah, right.
I like how with this film also it shows like the Avengers having kind of an impact into the world where, because it's like the Trump presidency. It's like, it's here. It's kind of like, okay, we got to live with this now.
It's a very interesting thing, and I mean, I think we have a lot of stuff that happens in these movies that, of course it's Marvel. Of course, there's going to be humor in there, but it's, it's done in a very great way.
Yes, and in many other films like it before, you have that memorable Stan Lee cameo, and it's funny.
And it's cliche New York, but like old school New York, where it's like literally neighbors yelling to across from each other.
In the window, yeah, because Peter thinks he's helping someone of the owner of a car because it's being carjacked with one of those low jack, a Slim Jim in there.
Ooh, yeah, the Macho Man.
I had a feeling that's what you call it, but that's what it is. Yeah, it's a dual meaning of that. And among the people in the apartments, I'm working nights. Could you keep it down? Whatever. And the Stanley cameo, don't make me come down to you, punk. And then he's being called, I guess he has a character name of Gary. Marjorie, how are you?
Gary.
How's your mother?
With that incorporation of that old school style of New York humor, that's perfect. It shows the history and the culture of New York City,
Absolutely. In the back alleys, and I think you probably even had clothesline hanging with some laundry airing out in the breeze.
And then you're going over to the, more metropolitan parts of New York that, are shown throughout the movie. They, certain things. We end up seeing, for example, Avengers Tower. And, on our Facebook page as well, we were asked by Matthew Perry, Facebook user Matthew Perry, who do you think bought Avengers Tower? And, guys,
the clear answer was Ross Geller.
That
right?
Poor kid.
Like the clear answer was the cast of Friends, and so on. I'm sorry, when you say Matthew Perry, I'm like, okay, well Chandler Bing's got it.
But I feel like a lot of people have speculated it will be Norman Osborn and it'll be Oscorp that buys the building. I'm leaning more towards it's being very vague right now.
Yeah.
But, as I've said in the past, we haven't heard anything about a Fantastic Four movie, really, in the past couple of years. So, I feel Constantine Rights sent the rights back over to Marvel. Marvel Studios has a Fantastic Four film rights, whatever. And they're not saying anything. That's why next week I'm calling, or when this episode airs, it'll be after Infinity War. But in all honesty, guys, I have a very, very, very weird feeling. And this is a bold prediction. Peter Dinklage, no one knows what his role is.
There's that too, yeah.
He's in this?
Yeah, he's going to be in Infinity War. I have a feeling Peter Dinklage is the Silver Surfer.
Oh, good God almighty.
Why? That makes sense. You can do a CGI character with a voice. Think about it.
Could they put his face on it, maybe?
No, I don't think they're going to do that. I think it's just going to be like a straight-up CGI character.
Oh.
No, I mean, for Peter Dinklage, I was actually not even thinking, because I did not know he was in this film. Could it be that he's going to No, actually, I have no idea at this
Yeah.
point. Like,
Some people have speculated Pip the Troll. Others have speculated maybe, even Adam Warlock. I'm going
I was
more
actually going to leave with Adam Warlock if I had to think about that.
I'm going with the Silver Surfer. And the reason I bring up Silver Surfer and all that is because I feel the Fantastic Four are going to buy Stark Tower.
Well, what I think, I'm kind of still leaning on the Oscorp thing just because they showed it in Spider-Man.
It makes sense.
And also, they have the Oscorp Tower. Like, that's definitely the safety card. I think the reason why they didn't explicitly say that was just to keep the Fantastic Four thing open.
Yeah.
When it comes to Fantastic Four, though, and just, like, that whole future with it, there's no way to do Phase 4 without Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
When did you say about how long ago that what's his name said the number 4 will be very important?
Yeah, it would be a great opening line at like D23 or at San Diego. I still feel if we're going to find out what the Phase 4 holds for us maybe this year.
Honestly, when it comes to Fantastic Four in the future, the only reason why I think they've not announced it yet is honestly they're just a little bit concerned. Can the Fantastic Four really be profitable? Which I know it was one of the highest selling Marvel comics, maybe the highest selling
For years.
Yeah, we'd have to. I think for a whole decade it was the highest selling. But can it really sell at the box office? They've had 3, I think, 1 mediocre flop, 1 bad flop, and then 1 horror story.
And then you also have to factor in the Corman run, or the Corman movie,
Now-
which, by the way, I just got for the first time.
I'm like, Corman Run? Wait a minute. Where did I miss out here?
Yeah. The funniest thing is the Fantastic Four film, that was definitely more of a teen cast like this film, Spider-Man Homecoming. So I kind of look at that, I'm like, okay, they had kind of the same idea, I think, they just did it completely the wrong way. Like, hell, they could have this could have been Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Fantastic Four could have been The Breakfast Club. And it could have.
I like that.
And they got that. They could still do that. If I had to make a guess, though, I think the next Fantastic Four, it's going to be a 35-plus crowd, if I could make that assumption.
You think so?
I don't know who I would even... That's a cast where we're going to get celebrities in that cast, no problem.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know who it's going to be, though.
Eddie?
There was speculation of a couple of characters I thought already. We even saw mock-ups or some potential picture of Reed Richards, I thought. And I forgot the actor's name. And I think you were going with, was it Emily Blunt as
Emily Blunt
Sue?
and John Krasinski.
John Krasinski, okay.
Who people would like to see.
I'll say this.
Yeah.
Emily Blunt wants to be in Marvel, and I thought she was... No, she's not confirmed for any Marvel film, is she?
Correct.
Yeah, so she'd fight for it. If any of you guys have seen Stranger Things, the actress who played Nancy, I think, would be a great Invisible Woman if they go the young route. Just because...
Oh, yeah.
Different look, definitely a less sexual look, more of practical, but I think that would sell well. For who would be Mr. Fantastic? Well, they've had a lot of success with people who failed in other Marvel films, so...
Yeah.
Let's see. Anyone from X? Hell, if they were to do a Fantastic Four film and make the actor who played the young Professor X, I would be okay with that.
James Marsden?
McAvoy.
James McAvoy, yes.
Yeah, no, he could. I think he was. But the problem is that was too good of a film. I think that's too attached. But
yeah, I agree. Well, you had a thought. I think was it the same person or I think
Denzel Washington?
Yeah,
hey,
that's
it could
right.
Work.
So you say
it could work.
So yeah,
no. Well, who would play Doctor Doom? Because let's face it, that's the one that's going to be the moneymaker.
Yeah,
and if they kill him off in the first film, I'll never watch a Marvel film again.
Oh, jeez. You cannot do that.
Magic Wilson?
I thought that's what you said there.
Mads Mikkelsen.
No, he already was.
Yeah, and that's the thing.
Oh,
he was in, Doctor Doom or Doctor Strange. But he would have been great as a Doctor Doom.
I'm going to just say Edward Norton because I just always cast him in roles. I always just give that guy a casting.
Liam Neeson.
Yeah, well, he's not been in a Marvel film?
No. He's never been in the MCU, and he's never been in the actual other Marvel movies.
I'm going to just cast myself as Doctor Doom. I don't care anymore.
You know what? I could see that. I like that.
Yeah, it's like I have hairy arms. That gives me something.
That's a hell of a power.
Yeah, I know. Well, to be fair, he's not supposed to have powers, really.
Like a hairy back? I got a hairy back. That's my mutant power.
I don't have that power, thankfully.
You're lucky.
Yeah, no. But
with great power comes
great warmth.
Shaving.
Damn, you're good. Anyway.
But no, actually...
Insulation.
Doctor Doom, he does not have any powers, correct?
Correct. He's just a mad genius who, has a horribly discarded face.
Yeah. The film's really ruined that. But going back to Spider-Man, though...
It's a good thing.
So actually, one question I have, like, which... If there will be a sequel to this film, and we don't know...
Oh, most definitely.
Well, of course, with Spider-Man Homecoming, it's already, I think, in production or pre-production.
Well, look, when you've got 576 possible web shooter combinations, there better be a sequel.
But this is a question I have for you guys. So we don't know the fate of Tony Stark. We will buy... Actually, we still won't because there's going to be another Avengers a year later. But what do you guys... For the sequel, I don't know if I want to see the Stark... Spider-Man bromance or
I like seeing the Spider-Man Tony Stark relationship,
but I don't know if I want to just see that again. I'd like to maybe see how he reacts with another Avenger. Like, for example, I would like to see him in Doctor Strange, like where Doctor Strange has to play a similar role in the next Spider-Man film. And I think the working title for one of the next Spider-Man films is Spider-Man Dimensions.
That was a fan-made poster. Yeah.
Oh, why are the fan-made posters so good?
That's the thing. I saw like a whole... Like, it was a dream version of Phase 4, and Spider-Man Dimensions was one of it. And I'm just like, ooh, this is cool. Because, like, they continued the 1980s love for the Thor after Ragnarok, so it was like a neon pink logo. It was so cool looking.
Well, the other relationship that I was thinking of in talking about the Tony Stark, Peter Parker one was the relationship that started between Doctor Strange and Thor.
Right.
In consultation in that respect.
Which we'll be saving for next week.
Yes, exactly, for Thor Ragnarok. But even but even the comedy aspect that I'm thinking of in the Captain America video, when they're in detention and Cap comes out with, "So your body's changing. Believe me, I know how that feels." That was just a one line that just came out of like, "Whoa, hey Cap, what are you?"
Field.
Yeah, exactly. And then of course we get to it. We get to it at the end. Yeah, Sally's left field. Mm-hmm. And the fact that just like the beginning, and that was a very good thing about this Spider-Man Homecoming movie, was it starting with Peter recording everything he's doing.
Yeah, the little
from that perspective and so on, and then you get the enhanced suit that he wears, and Karen, as it is called, records everything Peter sees. What was it called? The baby monitor protocol. So many protocols in this. It was like the unlocking the costume's full potential, the training wheels protocol, where Peter felt kind of insulted, like, "Oh man, really?"
I mean, in all honesty, the character is a kid, and he's going to make dumb decisions as a kid because he doesn't have that level of maturity yet.
The criminal interrogation protocol,
and I feel so when you just said the criminal interrogation protocol, we're introduced to a character who is the uncle of Miles Morales, and he brings up Miles in passing. Like, you have to be not a hardcore fan, but like a fan of the Spider-Man mythos. And when you hear, I have to make sure my nephew is safe, and you're like, wait, but what's that guy's name?
Yeah, I'd have to go back for that part. Yeah,
it's
for me. I look at that and I'm like, it kind of gives hope, because I don't think I said this while recording, but I said this to you earlier. I don't want to see a new Spider-Man for 15 years. Like, not a new Spider-Man movie. I want to see a lot more of those.
Right.
But I don't want to see a new origin, a new cast, new things like that. I just want them to finally grow it, where we see a guy go from a teenager and see him become Parker Industries. We see him have like an apprentice. Like, we see him become Tony Stark. That's what I really want here.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that they actually are looking at it. I think Marvel realistically wants to just not... I don't think Marvel will ever really do a reboot of this universe.
Not at all.
And I'm hoping that this is something where in the year 2030 or the year 2035, we could see the Miles Morales Spider-Man movie. And I think we're probably going to get some cross-dimension stuff or something like that beforehand, but I hope we get to wait 10, 15 years and see it. I don't want this to be like... Because I know there's going to be the animated film that they're going to do, but
I'm excited for, to be completely honest.
Yeah, but
that movie looks gorgeous.
Let's face it, you're in a minority there. I mean, and not that it's the comic community is looking forward to it. The public, the common people are not.
Yeah, because they're thinking it's going to be an origin story again. It's going to be another Spider-Man movie.
I think they also just I feel like they're going to take it like... I mean, because I saw the trailer...
It looks insane.
I saw it look good. The problem was, though, it's like, I think at this point, like, people have two connotations as animated superhero films. One is it's going to be overly serious and not meant for kids. Thank you, DC, for that. And then number 2 is it's going to be Lego Batman.
That was a movie, man. When I saw that movie, I thought it was okay, and like my opinion on that has changed like a lot since. Like I like it less and less with each, retrospect.
It was a cash-in. Granted, I think it did better at the box office than Justice League, so...
Most things, unfortunately, did.
Well, the movie It was done on a budget of $35 million, and it made $750 million at the box office. This was done on a budget with marketing of $350 million, and did $650 million at the box office, so...
Good job, DC.
Yoo-hoo.
And that... Like, again, when I say things like that, I want to see DC succeed, You can't blame them,
I don't want Ben Affleck to get more money.
I like Affleck.
No, I like him
He was the bomb in
personally,
Phantom,
but
yeah.
I don't want him as Batman.
Why do you say that?
It's just like, he's that kid, you think it's a good kid, but you don't want him dating your daughter.
Oh, jeez. Back to that.
He's going to spend some time with her in a very close... Or, what was the line in Mallrats? Did you ever see Mallrats?
No.
The back of a Volkswagen.
Well, and by the way, the TV, just to show, this is the scene where Peter says, oh yeah, there's no press conference, I'm not supposed to be an Avenger. And hey, Pepper Potts comes in and the engagement and so on, that all happens.
Or is about to happen, yeah.
And we see the return of Pepper Potts in this movie, and this was where I felt like, wow, that whole story thread involving her from Civil War, well, that was for nothing. She's back.
Yeah, it's right.
It kind of makes me question how much the directors actually see of these films, because it's like, you look at like...
I would say quite a bit.
Really?
Yeah, I say that because of the fact, look at how they do with the Star Wars movies. Everything has the story group. There's a Marvel story group. There's gotta be.
But that's way more singular, and also like like the Han Solo film is going to have nothing to do with these films. These are all like direct continuity, one after another. And now they show the cool suit. I want to see what it does.
You'll have to wait.
Yeah, you already saw the movie, remember?
Oh yeah, we already saw the movie. Man, that whole thing where it can shoot nukes out.
I was surprised it could make, frozen yogurt.
Yeah, no.
That was the best part of the movie, and it was just delicious. But it was a really, really cheap plug for that frozen yogurt place in Middletown by us,
Froyo.
Hoopla.
No.
Hoopla.
Well, then it was like, I don't know, but I don't know.
I don't know.
It's like, at this point, it's just kind of... Well, that's actually one small complaint I'll have about these films, though. Because one thing I loved about Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man is how you get to see him in the creative process of design and stuff. I don't really like how it's like he just outsourced everything to Tony Stark. I wish he could have made his own modifications and shown his intelligence.
The thing is this. He could show that. I understand that. But from a standpoint of he's a 15-year-old kid, he's not going to know how to make like a good enough costume.
Or just that he doesn't have the budget to.
That's the thing.
Yes.
As we were introduced to him in Civil War, he was literally stealing computers out of a dumpster.
Yeah.
So.
No. And, by the way, just because I guess this film is wrapping up right now, what do you expect his role to be in Infinity War? And I guess everybody here already saw it, including us, but what do you think the role is? Oh my God, he's dead. No.
I think it's going to be...
No.
I think... So, once again, we preface this. We have not seen the movie yet because we're recording this episode on the 17th of April, less than 10 days away from the movie. And what I think it's going to be with Spider-Man, and again, this will be a fun little thing for you people at home to listen to after, you see the movie.
Yeah.
But I feel... What is he going to be? He's going to be... This is Tony's, hey, training wheels are off, kid. Show me what you can do. I think it's going to be that.
Okay.
Oh, they're going to put that line in.
Yeah.
I'll bet you that line's in.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because in the trailers and in the commercials, he's been fighting Thanos.
That would actually be, if he does die, that would be a perfect line, like a closing line for him, like he's with Peter as he's about to go, and he says, that's it, training wheels are off, kid. I mean, I'm hoping Infinity War is a little bit more serious than this film.
I would anticipate it's going to be a super
hero movie.
An excessively serious with subject matter as such. There can be some comedy and some little bit, and I bet you Thanos could get away with a couple of lines for sure. And it'd be funny but serious undertones in there as well. I don't know the relevance of Happy going through loading out Tony's old Hulkbuster armor, the prototype for Cap's new shield, and the me Thor's magic belt.
I mean, honestly, I feel that scene was in there. We don't know what it's going to be, but it's going to be something big, And that's the thing, There's so much that will be coming in the future with these movies, and you go on our Facebook page, and one of the questions asked was by former guest co-host Patricio Raballo. Do you think we will ever see the black costume again, for example? Like, things pertain to the future, and I feel...
Yes, in Venom.
Yeah, but will it be connected to this? They're saying no, it's not, and when you see the trailer, they have the old school, or the original Marvel Studios opening, whereas this one has the whole completely different thing. It says Marvel Studios. That just said Marvel.
Yeah. You know what? To preserve possibly continuity or to not confuse people, the black costume had its appearance. It's done. It's moved on. You have the Venom character of its own being, its own entity. And that's what it is now. There's no more black costume.
And while we're talking about Venom, David Owen on our Facebook page asks, do you think Venom will reference the MCU since the Sony Marvel universe is adjunct to the MCU?
Why not? That'd be a no-brainer.
I think there'll be a Deadpool-type joke to that.
I can see that, yeah.
Like, they'll be like, don't make my costume green, or CGI.
Yeah.
I think it'll be something like that, which... It'll be a one-and-done thing if the Tom Holland cameo isn't actually going to happen.
Well, I think that for the Venom movie, I think it's just a fail-safe for them in case this... Well, first off, I think this is what they wanted to do with Andrew Garfield. Like, I mean, to be honest with you, they might reveal that this film is still canon to the Garfield universe because there's nothing that... I doubt...
Will there be lasagna?
Why not? I mean...
Will they hate Mondays?
Yeah, why not?
Will there be Nermals getting sent off to Abu Dhabi?
Why not?
Wow. 3 for 3.
Will John find love?
The thing is, though, I'm wondering
he won't.
because Marvel has the rights to do... Like, because the contract they signed, they can put Venom in their universe and ignore this universe.
Yeah.
And there's no real planning on that. And I would be willing to guess Bob Iger behind the scenes is not very happy here about this, but hey, that's the deal they signed.
He probably hates Stan Lee, in all honesty.
Well, Bob Iger... Oh, well.
Well, here's the thing also, going with weird decisions, but Manny Duran on our Facebook page asks, would you ever turn Peter into Man-Spider?
Give me a clue on that Man-Spider.
When he had the multiple arms...
Yeah, I remember that, but that's what he was called then, I guess in that time period? Yeah, he had 4 extra arms, I think.
But would you do that?
Possibly. And that would hopefully be just a temporary thing. And that, if I remember, the comic book storyline had to do with Morbius, the living vampire.
I feel like
there as well.
And Morbius, I believe, is getting his own movie as well.
Oh, look at that. Okay.
Which will, once again, not be tied to these movies, probably.
Yeah, possibly, right?
But yeah, now also final question that we're going to be asked is by Scott Bandla. Do you think the wacky timeline established in this movie by saying that it takes place 8 years after Avengers, knowing that Guardians of the Galaxy takes place in 2014, is going to be retconned into some semblance of sense with the Time Stone?
That's getting deep.
No, they're just going to ignore it.
It's kind of the Mystery Science Theater approach. Just repeat to yourself, it's just a movie. I should really just relax. It's going to be that, to be honest.
Yeah, okay.
Some people, because I've not really read the articles explaining it, but I do know people have complained saying this messes up the timeline. And I'm like, I saw it. It makes sense to me.
Yeah.
The timeline's messed up the most in the X-Men movies.
Ask Deadpool.
Nothing.
McAvoy or Stewart.
No, but here's the thing. I still prefer the X-Men movies to the Avengers movies.
Really?
With the timeline mistakes. Oh yeah, I'll prefer Days of Futures Past. I will take over any Marvel film. Same for Logan as well, and same for a few other.
Oh, Logan's, in my opinion, is still the best comic book movie ever made.
Dark Knight.
I'm gonna have to go with Logan, man.
Dark Knight.
Whoa.
So this is how that.
Why
this is
so
what it feels
serious?
like.
This is what it feels like.
That is like the best line in a movie. You know, those kind of movies. It just works because that's what he's been longing for to an extent.
Well, here's the thing. Does anyone here think that with the Avengers films we'll ever get a Logan for the Avengers films? Like something where it's a character coming to the end, like the prime is over.
We might be getting that with Infinity War, to be honest. Like that would be, you know.
I know. I think we'll get that when the Marvel films, like the money is starting to dry up a little bit.
But do you see the money drying out? I did a 180 on my opinion about that. You know, I feel like, you know what, they're making money. This is like the biggest ticket pre-sale of all time right now.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I think when it comes to Disney, I feel like the studio doing Star Wars can learn a little bit from Marvel, actually. Because
Why do you say that?
Well, you know, I think Han Solo is about to be their first Star Wars film not to break $1 billion, and I think that that's not to bash the Han Solo film.
Star Wars: The Clone Wars says hi, by the way.
Oh, there you go. But, well, okay, first Star Wars Disney film.
There we go.
Okay, yeah, no. What I mean by that is, like, the problem is that Star Wars films, they're still kind of the same to some extent, and I don't think the consumer wants, the audience wants a new Star Wars film every year for the masses.
That was what I had talked to a friend about, and I'm in agreement with you on that.
Yeah, no, and here's the thing. I don't think everyone wants a new Spider-Man film every year. I don't think everyone wants a new Iron Man every year. Everybody wants a new Avengers every year. They want a gap. But the thing is, they've made the characters unique enough and colorful enough, and not just the characters, the whole style of the films are so different that it makes it so you can watch Ant-Man and then 6 months later watch Thor and get two entirely different movies. Star Wars is going to have to learn that, you know, they can't just have films with blasts. They can't just always make it Star Wars. They're going to have to do some films that are not going to involve spaceships, that are going to be very different. And they're also going to be filmed very different and feel very different.
Yeah.
So they're going to have to learn that. And I don't know if they will.
Oh, time will tell. But I just have a question, whether it's relevant to the ending or the mid-credit scene in Spider-Man Homecoming. The two inmates walking up to each other, one, of course, being Toomes, the other one saying, hey, rumor has it that you know who Spider-Man is. To which is answered by Toomes, if I knew who he was, he'd be dead. Who's the first inmate that proposed that question to him?
The Riddler.
The Riddler, of course. How could I forget? Forget I asked that question, I suppose.
But I see, that was one of my favorite scenes in the movie because it showed he learned his mistake from everything, and he realized, you know what, he saved my life. This is the least I can do for him because I'll save his life then.
I wasn't sure how to interpret his facial reaction, and yes, it's realized to me, oh, shoot, that's right, he knows who he is.
Yeah.
And even though he's in prison, he has that knowledge. What's he going to do with it?
And what are you people going to do next week with our next episode about Thor Ragnarok from 2017?
How many more of these? As Captain America said in his PSA on patience.
Yeah, we've got now in the final movies of the Road to Infinity War, as Infinity War will be out for 2 weeks by the time our last episode comes out. But I digress. Happens. Guys, so what I want to do is now talk about what we thought about the movie overall. And when I watched this movie for the first time, I said this was the best Spider-Man movie. And I even went as far as to say this is my number one Spider-Man movie, or number one Marvel Studios movie.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, Road to Infinity War changes things. However, this movie is still a solid 5 out of 5 for me.
I knew that.
And this is coming as a lifelong Spider-Man fan, much like yourself. You know, seeing this character portrayed on the big screen in the way he was portrayed, perfect. We got the Queen's accent. We got the... Not that Queen's accent, Eddie.
Oh, the Queen. Thank you, Peter. I was waiting for my entrance. Now I can die happy.
But anyway, yeah, we got to see this character properly done. And, you know, while we'll agree to disagree, there were elements where I felt he was perfect in it, you know? And it just worked. The pacing overall was fantastic. The writing was so sharp. And like I said, this movie made me wish John Hughes was still alive to make a movie and do a superhero movie. Because the directors of this film, they realized, you know what? This is great. This works. And this
I'm going to go near perfect.
So 4.5 probably?
4 3/4.
Really? That's still pretty damn impressive.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
What did you think of this movie?
Okay, so I'm going to start off with my rating, and I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5 because 5 is very hard to get. I'm going to still say I think I like Ant-Man more, but this is a close-up. Yeah. But, you know, watching the original Spider-Man film again, I actually really appreciate that film a lot more. And, yeah, this is a better movie, but that was more true to the original comics, and I give that a lot of respect. Like, that scene where he becomes Spider-Man. And, you know, this is sort of like... I think that the first Spider-Man film, if that was like... It's sort of like whenever I try to do something new, it's like if that was the first try, I'm really excited to see the fourth try. This is the third try. And I think that really is proof of that. Anything they did wrong, though, I mean, the Flash thing, damn you.
Yeah, not everything's going to be perfect.
It's Michelle, right?
It is.
You know, different touch.
Third time's the charm.
Disney, 15th, but... But I mean, they brought her in, I think, to just appeal to younger people. Not really a ton with that character there. The big winner, though, I think, was the Ned character.
Yeah.
That was something very new that they brought, not really from the comics for the most part. And,
well, mostly. He was just under a different name.
You know, and this really, this changed the game for Spider-Man. And, you know, I think for Fantastic Four, I'm interested to see how they take that. I'm interested to see...
If it happens.
Well,
remember.
you know, they'll probably take the X-Men eventually because it's Bob Iger. And I'm interested to see how they do this stuff. And this is, I think, a great template of how to go and take something that was previously another film and do something new on it. So, yeah, this is a winner. This is a great film.
Now, let's do our rankings. Charles, first up, you'll do... Because... You don't have the whole ranking set for yourself, but top 3, what are they again?
The first Avengers film.
Okay.
I'm going to put Ant-Man in there. And I'm going to put this in there.
I'll go with mine, and I'll rapid fire it. We got number 15, Thor: The Dark World. Number 14, Iron Man 3. Number 13, The Incredible Hulk. Number 12, Iron Man 2. Number 11, Captain America, The First Avenger. Number 10, Avengers Age of Ultron. Number 9, Avengers, or Avengers Assembled in the UK. Number 8, Thor. Number 7, Iron Man. Number 6, Captain America, Civil War. Number 5, Doctor Strange. Number 4, Captain America, The Winter Soldier. Tied for number 3, Ant-Man and Guardians of the Galaxy. Number 2, brand new, Spider-Man Homecoming. And my number 1, Guardians of the Galaxy, Volume 2. Eddie,
nice.
Let's go with the pyramid.
Yeah, well, a couple of maybe quick points that were in there as well. Again, the humor interaction with Tony, still on point with his quips, his one-liners and stuff. Don't do anything I would do. God, I sound like my dad. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. Exactly. And even the premise in the beginning of, hey, look what happened 8 years after, Avengers Tower went down, and there's some Chitauri or alien tech that gets into the wrong hands or different hands, and what could happen there. So I think it was a good offshoot tangent. So was the introduction of the Spider-Man villain, the Shocker, and even
who we kind of glossed over, but in all honesty, he was just an ancillary character. That's really about it. He was just there.
And they kill him off. Yes, it's true. But the original Shocker in this movie did even have sort of the clothing and the color scheme. I think it was brown and yellow of a sort.
You know what I just noticed? We always bring Charlie on in the movies where there's a gruesome death, like the way they kill Shocker, like the way they kill that guy in Ant-Man. Have you noticed that?
To a little bit of goop.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of death with me. I'm not good that way.
Must be your thing. I don't know.
Well, I mean, the other thing I'm just going to bring up here is, when are we going going to get the Howard the Duck movie? Because that's what I'm waiting for now.
I want one. I want one more than I want Working Legs in Old Age. I'm just saying that now. I think a really good Howard the Duck movie could work, and if anybody can do it, it's going to be James Gunn.
Working Legs in Old Age. Let's have him talk to Tele, the collector, and go back to his, which maybe we have to go a few years later for him rebuilding his collection and his space for that. And then we'll have Howard supervising the repairs, perhaps.
Now, Eddie, what's the pyramid looking like? I want to hear the pyramid.
Okay. I want to know how Karen, the AI for Spider-Man's costume, said that...
Voiced by Jennifer Connelly, by the way.
Oh, right. Okay. Said that in Spider-Man trying to keep the Staten Island ferry together instead of two pieces. And I knew, just like in the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man stopping the train, he is suspended between two sections of the ferry trying to keep it together. And Karen, the AI, again saying he was 98% successful. To which that all goes down the tubes, straight to hell, because it all comes apart. And then Iron Man comes in and, saves the day kind of thing. But getting the costume at the end in the paper bag, this belongs to you. And again, the possible reveal of May seeing Peter in the Spider-Man costume. Great little zingers like that. And the music, using the Ramones song twice, Blitzkrieg Bop.
That was perfect. And it represented that, I feel like plenty of decades of New York City were represented. You have the 1940s, 50s with that Stan Lee scene of, the older neighbors. You have the 1970s punk scene represented. You have the hipsterish now, with the end credit scene.
Yep, and I think there was another song by the English Beat that might have been called Sooner or Later. If I wasn't too familiar, but I recognized the group. Later. That's it, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the one, okay. The other thing that I noted, but I couldn't even on a pause read the whole thing, was when Vulture got all wrapped up, tied up, webbed up, tangled up in blue. Tangled up in blue. How does it feel? Found flying Vulture guy, Spider-Man. And then there was a PS, which I couldn't quite read on that note.
And somebody pointed out with the letter he wrote for the bike that got stolen. And
yeah.
Technically, he accidentally made it into Spider-Man, because if you notice the positioning of where it is, he wrote Spider like, oh crap, I put it too close. Let me put it underneath.
That's right.
A little hyphen.
That's exactly right, because you have to respect the hyphen.
Damn right.
And you do. Okay. And yes, at the end of it says Spider-Man will return. So, very entertaining movie overall. I even like, and my wife won't hear this until after she sees the movie, that there was a drop that equated a scene like being at a Bon Jovi concert.
Really?
The part of the rescue in D.C., like a Bon Jovi concert. And I forget the character who said that, but it was kind of funny. So here we go. From the pyramid at the top of the heap is Iron Man, tied with the Avengers, tied with Captain America, the Winter Soldier, tied with Guardians of the Galaxy.
Tied with Thor, the Dark World.
Okay. Charlie. At a 4.75, the newly ranked Spider-Man Homecoming. Points off, not much. Just tough to handle completely the Tony Stark tutelage scenario. And possibly in a little sense, he's a kid, okay, and it really comes through that he's just 15. But it's just a whole different concept of Spider-Man's coming into being and doing well.
I think it's helpful
and so on.
Because it shows how easily manipulated he can be. It's that.
Yeah, there's that too. That is true too. So just trying to work out a different concept of how he comes to be. Not too unlike in the very first Spider-Man movie with Tobey Maguire, the fact that he could adhere to walls with pincers or little tentacles coming out of his fingers so he could stick to walls, which is totally not what the case was. He
was just sticky.
He was just a sticky kind of guy. And being able to shoot webs straight out of the vein in his wrist kind of thing. So that was the whole thing to get used to. So, again, 4.75 for Spider-Man Homecoming, tied with Thor, tied with Captain America, the First Avenger. At a 4.5, Iron Man 2, Ant-Man, Doctor Strange, and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, which you missed. Well, everybody missed who's listening, including myself. You, me, and McGee. 4.5, there they are. 4.25, Captain America Civil War, Avengers Age of Ultron, and Iron Man 3. At a 4, Incredible Hulk, And finally, Thor: The Dark World at a 3.5. That's it.
I dig it. So, guys, like I said, next week's episode is going to be Thor: Ragnarok from 2017. I'm kind of excited for that episode. We're going to see what happens with that.
Just to put a spoiler for your next video, was it better than The Dark World?
Yes.
Colonoscopies are better than The Dark World.
Oh, wow.
But anyway, so before we go, let's see how people can get a hold of us on social media.
How?
Go on Facebook.com/
The Marvelists.
Go on the Twitter at
The Marvelists.
Go on Twitter and follow myself at Peter Melnick. Yourself
at eWilson959.
You can also find us on every email bag, themarvelous@gmail.com. You can also rate, review, subscribe, and share on iTunes. 5-star if you're ever so interested in doing so. Share on social media. Let people know you're listening. Also, go on iTunes. Also, go with the Stitcher radio app to listen to us. Available for all iOS and Android devices. And be sure to use that promo code when you go to Stitcher.com/premium. The promo code Marvelists. Right, Eddie?
Right, Peter.
You get a free 1 month of Stitcher Premium. And after that, if you want to stay on, it's $4.99 a month. Cancel any time you want. I'm just nodding politely to Eddie right now.
How nice of you.
But yeah, also, we want to say a major thank you to Charles for returning to the show.
Always fun to be on, and I have no Spider-Man puns. No. I'm always happy to sling back here.
There we go.
Lame. I don't know. I still put more personality into that than Andrew Garfield did.
You did.
Wow.
But Charles, before you go, how can people get a hold of you on our social medias?
Twitter and Instagram, Charles A. Perallo, Peralo. And if you can't spell Charles, I don't want you following me.
Exactly.
Thwip.
So, for Peter Melnick, I'm Peter Melnick.
I'm Charles Perallo.
I'm Eddie Wilson. Excelsior.
All right, it's time for Obsessed with Marvel time. I'm your host, Nicolas Cage. It's Cage time.
I want to thank Eddie Wilson for having me here. Just to read these questions to you fine folks.
Fantastic. Let's just do this entire bit in Nicolas Cage.
I believe I will.
Fantastic.
From Obsessed with Marvel, 2,500 questions to test your knowledge of the Marvel Universe. We turn to question 2,269, which reads, not Reed Richards, who was Prince Wayfinder? Prince Wayfinder. Is it hero of the Sword in the Star, leader of the Microns, monarch of Xandar, or an alien monarch in the original Guardians series? Who was Prince Wayfinder? Hero of the Sword in the Star, leader of the Microns, monarch of Xandar, or an alien monarch in the original Guardians series? I'm lost.
See, as a Guardians fan, it actually does sound familiar to me.
So you would say the alien monarch in the original Guardians? I'm going to go with your answer, which is D. And we have a correct answer.
Hey.
Way to go, Wayfinder Peter Melnick. Okay.
We found a way.
We have way.
Let's do two more.
Okay. So now it's question 1,615. Flip, flip, flip. Yeah, you flip. Do.
Flip Wilson.
Do. Very good. I'm happy you know that character.
He was amazing.
Person. Okay. 1615, I said? Yes. Who was not one of the headmen? Okay. Shrunken Bones. Thunderhead. Shandu the Mystic. Or is it Chandu the Mystic? And Ruby Thursday. Who was not one of the headmen? Again, Shrunken Bones. Thunderhead. Chandu the Mystic. Or Ruby Thursday. I lost again, but I would
Ruby Thursday.
I'm going to say Ruby. I have an answer for that. So let's try it. No, it is not Ruby Thursday. The answer is Thunderhead. Well, that's like who was not one of the headmen. A Thunderhead was not one of the head. Okay, let's try and settle this. 1668. Let's make that change out of 20. No.
You never know.
1668. Trying to do the math here. One more page. There we go. Okay. Who was the Nightcrawler in The Incredible Hulk number 126 back to 1970. This sounds familiar, and I'm picturing this character. Who was the Nightcrawler in The Incredible Hulk number 126? A future member of the X-Men, the monster later known as Darkcrawler, one of the Undying Ones, or one of the evil Inhumans? I have this down to a possibility of 2. I'm just saying for myself, not a future member of the X-Men.
And not an Inhuman.
And not an evil Inhuman. I don't know that there were evil Inhumans to begin with.
Well,
so
Medusa started originally as a villain.
Okay, yeah. The monster later known as Darkcrawler or one of the Undying Ones. I'm a little stuck on this, but I think I have...
Sound familiar for that.
Doesn't? Yeah, I'm thinking monster later known as Darkcrawler. So let's hit B, please. No! And the answer is one of the Undying Ones.
1 out of 3
is bad.
Ain't bad.
It ain't good either. Till next time, true believers.
Excelsior as well.